If we can, if you have any marshals and things, ask you to clear a path.
Go ahead.
Express any aggression to any marshals or police or anybody. We are a peaceful protest. There are some hearing impaired deaf people here. We have signers for them, so if there are any in the crowd, please come up to where you can see the signer, and could people in the crowd let them through?
There's no more power, just listen!
Exactly, I'm not a politician, I can't scream that loud. And please don't litter the environment. There are rubbish receptacles and bags and things, so please leave a clean environment after you. We have a number of pre-prepared talkers. If anybody else wants to have their 5 minutes, there's a board up the front here, and just write your name on the board. And now we'll move on to Sally with an acknowledgement.
Good morning! Can you hear me? Hey! I would like to start with an acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge all the ancestors and people of the Gunnedah and Darug lands, past, present and future. I would like to acknowledge, I'm shaking, the real truth behind the pain and suffering caused by the illegal invasion and the battles fought to protect country. I would like to acknowledge the tenacity and strength and survival of the oldest civilization and culture in the world. I would like to give sincere and heartfelt thanks to be here on traditional country today. Thank you.
Okay, I now have an example. I've got a bellow. Okay, it's great to see you all here. To me, one of the main things about today, we're not likely to change a politician's mind, but at least we're seeing that those of us that feel that things are wrong, those of us that have had a feeling of wrongness about what's going on for a long time, even before Abbott came in and really started destroying, we can see that we're not alone now. Keep in touch with each other. Build your strength so that we can fight. Woo! Okay. I was talking about what I believe in then, not just admin stuff. Okay, our first arranged speaker for you today is Susan Templeton. I'll hand over to her. Give her an applause.
I want to acknowledge that we are on the grounds of two great nations, the Darug and Gundungurra, and pay respects to and express admiration for the leaders of those great nations, past and present. And just 1 week on from International Women's Day, I especially want to pay my respects to the traditional women of this country. These are strong women whose leadership sets an example for all Australians. This is a stunning crowd, and despite the clouds, a stunning day. But the fact that we even feel the need to be here makes me angry and sad. We're here because our rights are being assaulted. The rights of workers, the rights of students, the rights of gay people, the rights of Aboriginal people, the rights of asylum seekers, the rights of people with disabilities, our right to a job, our right to be treated decently if we don't have a job, our right to a national broadband network, and the rights of the environment, which is so obvious to all of us who gather in the Blue Mountains. We saw the damage the Howard government did to progressive policies, and that's what got me involved in politics. And this Abbott government wants to go even further. They are running on an agenda of hate, and the destruction of our rights is their only goal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm sure many of you were watching on YouTube the interview that Tony Abbott did with the students from Newtown Performing High just this week. And what a grilling it was, as he noted, better than Q&A. What Abbott thought would be a nice little chat about how he wants to plant more trees and not impose any taxes really went the wrong way for him. And I think what these kids showed, and these are students who would come from the mountains, they would come from the Hawkesbury, they would come from all over Sydney. They showed that in spite of being treated as public school students, as second-class citizens by the Abbott government, they were still going to follow their dream. And they recognised that Tony Abbott is a dinosaur. In a short 5-minute conversation, they showed that he's a man who has no concept of gender equality. A man who opposes gay marriage. A man who won't address climate change. And a man who cannot treat asylum seekers with compassion. And I think it's important that we acknowledge, and I personally want to acknowledge, that I don't believe Labor got it right on the issue of asylum seekers. I'm a long-time member of Labor for Refugees, a group which works within the Labor Party to get better policy outcomes. Senator Doug Cameron demonstrated that there are many people within the Labor Party who wanted to see change while we're in government, and now we are pushing for change while we're in opposition, so that when we get back into government, we have a more humane policy approach. But what is clear now is that the coalition government is even further away from finding a humane response to a global human need. I agree with a sign that's been doing the rounds for March in March. I'm sure there's one out there today. It says we need to find a better way. No towbacks, no long-term detention, no offshore prison. They should be the policy basics for the ALP. Our generation cannot, in years to come, say we didn't know what was happening. We cannot say we didn't know the damage that was being done to people. We know, and we cannot support it. I also want to focus on what's happening here in the seat of Macquarie, how we're being represented by one of Tony Abbott's stormtroopers, Louise Marcus. It's puzzling to me that a woman who identifies as a Christian, who's a member of the Hillsong Church, who has personal knowledge of life in Papua New Guinea, and who has no doubt worked with many people with mental illness in her role as a Hillsong social worker, can stay silent on the asylum seeker issue. We know why she stays silent on gay marriage, but why does she stay silent on the decision not to proceed with the Gonski school funding reforms? Everyone knows that those would make a massive difference to our teachers, our schools, and most importantly, our students. And why does she stay silent on the plans to charge $6 for every visit to a GP, when in this electorate alone, that will be an extra tax every year of $5 million? As you are demonstrating today, and as subsequent speakers will highlight the multitude of issues that have brought us here, this electorate does not have a voice in Canberra on any of these issues, and that's a disgrace. I say to our local federal member, stand up against Tony Abbott, stand up to Scott Morrison and Christopher Pine and Joe Hockey. I say to our local federal member, fight for what your electorate wants. But I have no faith that that will happen, and we will need to march every march until we throw this government out.
think that was a pretty good intro. Only one thing, don't leave it just until next March. Don't let the pressure off for a whole year. Okay, our next speaker that's booked is Danny Whitty. Is he? Danny?
Danny.
Okay, missing in action. We'll go on to number 3. We got Warren Ross here. Okay, George Winston.
I'm only a little guy. I've got no hope of competing with Susan Templeton. But what I'm lacking in talking experience, I hope to make up in anger and compassion.
Yes.
My name's George Winston. I'm the secretary of the Blue Mountains Refugee Support Group. Thank you. I've been doing that for 12 years. Now, I'm an old refer from World War II, from Poland, from the Holocaust. That explains what I'm doing, because I'm one of these guys. I came to Australia, sorry about this feedback. Yeah. Can you hear me at the back? Right, you can, I'm all right. I came to Australia in 1950 as a stateless person. I was not locked up in a prison camp behind razor wire. I went to Randmead Boys High School. My father had a job within a week and my mother worked in the rag trade. And we've had a wonderful life. I've been here for 63 wonderful years. Now, Australia signed the Refugee Convention in 1951 that gave an example to the world of what to do, and it let in hordes of flotsam and jetsam like myself after World War II. Can't hear me, sorry. Yeah, I'll try to yell. Is that better? Okay. I accuse this government, I accuse it of imprisoning children behind razor wire for months or years. I accuse it for imprisoning innocent people indefinitely without charge. I accuse it of sending asylum seekers back to danger, jail, torture, or execution. I accuse it of sending asylum seekers to hellholes such as Nauru or Manus Island. I accuse it of stopping asylum seekers from working or studying and forcing them into destitution. I accuse it of using asylum seekers for political ends. I accuse it of wasting billions of dollars. And I accuse it of seriously contravening the Refugee Convention and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. I accuse it for trampling on basic human rights. And I apologise for copying Émile Zola in the 19th century, who said, "J'accuse." Now, the Blue Mountains Refugee Support is working against these practices and policies and is actively supporting asylum seekers in the community. We need your help. Please look on the internet for Blue Mountains Refugee Support Group and join us. You can see me here after this talk if you wish. Thank you for listening. Thanks.